Baysangur of Beno, a Chechen hero whose name still echoes in the mountains of the Caucasus. Born in 1794, Baysangur was a warrior who fought bravely against Russian forces, becoming a symbol of resistance and courage. Imagine growing up in a land constantly at war. Baysangur was born into the powerful Beno clan just after the Chechens had fought a fierce war against Russia led by Sheikh Mansour. Though they lost, the Chechens did not give up. They regrouped, ready to fight again. From a young age, Baysangur joined the fight. The thick forests and rugged mountains of Chechnya were perfect for guerrilla warfare. Baysangur and his fellow fighters would strike swiftly and disappear into the trees. Who was Baysangur of Beno? What made him fight with such determination, even after losing an arm, an eye, and a leg? This documentary will explore his life, from his early days in the village of Benoit, to his rise as a great commander, to his legendary battles. This is the story of a man who never gave up fighting for his people and their freedom. Part 1. Early Life. Baysangur nestled in the rugged mountains of Chechnya. His family belonged to the powerful Beno clan, one of the largest and most influential in the region. His early years were shaped by the aftermath of a significant conflict. Just before his birth, the Chechen clans had fought a brutal war against the Russian Empire, with many Chechens killed and Sheikh Mansour captured. Despite the loss, the Chechens were resilient. They regrouped, rebuilt their villages, and continued their struggle for freedom. Growing up in this environment, Baysangur was immersed in stories of bravery and resistance from a young age. As soon as he was old enough to carry a weapon, Baysangur joined the fight against the Russian forces. Baysangur and his fellow fighters used their knowledge of the land to launch swift, surprise attacks on the enemy, making them a formidable force. Although little is known about Baysangur's early years, it is clear that he quickly made a name for himself as a brave and skilled warrior. His dedication and natural leadership abilities set him apart, earning him the respect and admiration of his peers. Part 2. Joining the Caucasian Imamate. As the 19th century progressed, the fight against Russian expansion took on new dimensions. In 1825 to 1826, Baysangur participated in an uprising led by Baybulat Taimiev, which was one of the many sparks of resistance against Russian rule. In 1828, a significant development occurred that would shape the course of the resistance. Ghazi Muhammad was proclaimed Imam of the Caucasian Imamate, a political and religious entity aiming to unite the peoples of the North Caucasus in their fight against Russia. Baysangur, recognizing the importance of a unified front, joined Ghazi Muhammad's movement. The village of Benoit, Baysangur's home, became a crucial support base for Ghazi Muhammad in Chechnya. This alliance marked a turning point as it brought together various factions under a single banner, strengthening their resolve and coordination in the face of a powerful enemy. In 1839, after a fierce battle at Akulgo, Imam Shamil, the successor of Ghazi Muhammad, and his murids, or disciples, sought refuge in Benoit. Baysangur's family provided them with shelter, exemplifying the solidarity and mutual support among the fighters. By 1846, Baysangur's commitment to the cause had cost him dearly. In a battle against Russian troops led by Count Mikhail Vorontsov, he lost an arm and an eye. The following year, during the battle for Gurjabil, a cannonball took his leg. Even then, he continued to fight, displaying an extraordinary level of courage and resilience. Captured by the Russian forces, Baysangur's fate seemed sealed. However, Shamil's murids launched a daring attack on the convoy, transporting him to the fortress of Grozny, rescuing him from captivity. According to legend, Baysangur was tied to a horse so he could stay in the saddle. In May 1860, Baysangur, along with former naibs Umaduyev and Atabi Atayev, reignited the flames of rebellion in Chechnya. They launched a new uprising, with Baysangur's men achieving a significant victory against Russian forces led by General Musa Kundukov near Fachu. Despite his severe injuries, Baysangur's zeal and courage were legendary. Baysangur refused to lay down his arms. His defiance was so profound that when Russian negotiators offered him his life in exchange for surrender, he pointed to a nearby cemetery and replied, Talk to them about your case. They will hear you better than me. Part 3. Shamils Diary. Imam Shamil, the legendary leader of the Caucasian resistance, meticulously recorded his thoughts and experiences in a diary. Within these pages, he often mentioned Baysangur of Beno, highlighting his dedication and bravery. Imam Shamil, after hearing this story about Baysangur refusing to surrender, he remarked, "Yes, this is such a person. I know him well. He would never change his word." Shamil understood that Baysangur's desire was singular, to die fighting against the Kafirs. When a Cossack army stood facing Shamil's troops, a strong Cossack called upon him to duel. Baysangur responded at once and rode towards him at a gallop. When he returned wounded in the chest, Shamil angrily asked, "What is the matter with you? Why do you bring shame upon us? You are wounded, and the Cossack is astride of his saddle." Baysangur answered, "Wait until the horse moves." As the horse took a step, the Cossack's head rolled to the ground. Part 4. The Siege of Gunib. By 1859, the Caucasian War had reached a critical juncture. The mighty Tsarist army, numbering 240,000, was on the move to crush the last vestiges of resistance. Imam Shamil, along with his trusted commanders, including Baysangur of Beno, prepared for their final stand at the fortress of Gunib. Gunib, a natural fortress nestled in the mountains of Dagestan, became the stage for the last epic battle. Shamil and his loyal warriors, including the battle-scarred Baysangur, fortified their positions, knowing that defeat here would mean the end of their struggle for independence. The Russians, led by General Baryatinsky, launched a relentless assault. With 40,000 soldiers, they vastly outnumbered Shamil's 400 defenders. The cannons roared, and the skies darkened with smoke as the siege began. Despite their overwhelming numbers, the Russians met fierce resistance from Shamil's men. Baysangur, bound to his horse due to his severe injuries, fought with unmatched tenacity. His presence alone inspired the defenders, embodying the unyielding spirit of the Chechen and Dagestani fighters. Every strike he made, every order he gave, was a testament to his unbreakable will. Despite their bravery, the defenders of Gunib faced insurmountable odds. The Russian cannons wreaked havoc, and one by one the valiant warriors fell. As the situation grew dire, Shamil realized the inevitable outcome. With heavy hearts, the defenders watched as Shamil made the difficult decision to surrender. For Baysangur, who had seen friends and family perish, the sight was unbearable. He called out to Shamil, but Shamil, knowing Baysangur's resolve, did not turn back. When questioned by the Russian general about why he did not respond, Shamil replied, "If I had done so, Baysangur would have shot me. For in our culture, one cannot shoot a man in the back." As Shamil surrendered, Baysangur and his remaining men made a daring escape back to Chechnya. During this perilous journey, Baysangur lost one of his sons, adding to the already profound grief of defeat. Yet, even in the face of such loss, Baysangur's spirit remained unbroken. The siege of Gunib marked a turning point. The defeat left Chechnya and Dagestan weakened, their forces scattered. But Baysangur, along with his steadfast friend Zoltamurad, refused to give up. In 1861, they ignited one last uprising, a final blaze of defiance against the Russian oppressors. Part 5. The End. The year was 1861. Baysangur of Beno, the brave Chechen commander, faced his final days of resistance. Despite being badly injured and losing many friends, Baysangur kept fighting for Chechen freedom. The Russians, worried about Baysangur's continued fight, decided to act quickly. With help from Musa Kundukov, Nikolai Kolovachev, and Artsu Chermoyev, they planned to capture him. They found out where Baysangur was and surrounded the village of Belgatoy. The attack was fierce. Kundukov and his troops destroyed 15 villages in their path. The Chechen resistance was overwhelmed, and Baysangur and his men were forced to retreat to Benoy. Despite trying their best to regroup and keep fighting, Baysangur and his men were eventually captured. The great warrior who had fought the Russians for so long was now a prisoner. Baysangur was taken to Kasavurt in jail. The Russian leaders, wanting to make an example of him, quickly decided he should be hanged. On March 3, 1861, the execution was set to happen. A large crowd gathered to see the execution. The Russians, understanding the importance of this moment, wanted to create a conflict between Chechens and Dagestanis by having a Dagestani execute Baysangur. They ordered a Dagestani to kick the stool from beneath him, hoping to cause trouble among the mountaineers. Baysangur refused to give them that satisfaction. Knowing the Russians wanted a Dagestani to take his life, he made a final bold decision. He jumped off the chair himself, denying his enemies on their victory. While Baysangur faced his final moments, Imam Shamil, the very man who had ignited the flames of holy war, sat in the luxurious comfort of Mecca, far removed from the suffering and sacrifice of his own people.